if you couldn't even do running or anything like that, there's always a scale. We just tried to get people to move through a full range of motion for the rest of their life. So if people are struggling and if they don't know what they need to do, but they need to do some kind of fitness, I would encourage, CrossFit to definitely be the route to go, just because of the community, the way, pick a good gym, you have a good community, you get brought in the right way. It's just one of those things where it's really intimidating at first until you step out and do it.
Episode number 3 is with Brady Mora, owner of Martin City CrossFit, who will be discussing the culture of CrossFit and his journey in the fitness industry, both as a competitor and coach. My name is Eric Mojica, your host for the K & Chats podcast. In this episode of K & Chats, we'll be talking about the growing fitness industry that is CrossFit and how Martin City CrossFit gets involved in the community. Brady is a classic example of a trainer starting from the ground up, going from an equipment cleaner at his local gym to studying his way into becoming a personal trainer, ultimately becoming a business owner and entrepreneur in the fitness industry. CrossFit is becoming a more prevalent style of training and growing in popularity with events taking place all around the world. In this interview, Brady talks about his training methods for his gym members and a recent event called the Warhorse Games, a CrossFit meet inspired by a non-profit foundation that serves disabled veterans with events that include bonding with horses and interaction with other members of our nation's armed forces. To all the people in our United States military, we want to thank you for your service in protecting the freedoms of this great country. So let's get to it. Turn up your speakers, put on your headphones, and get ready for another great show. This episode of K & Chats begins right now. Morning, Brady.
What's up, man?
Welcome to K & Chats.
How
Good
you
to
doing?
have you. All right, man. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about MC CrossFit, your career, your journey, and everything you've done.
All right, man. Well, it all have to. I've always been into working out, and I think that was ingrained in me from when I was in sports at Belton High School when I was growing up. I had really good mentors around, coaches. Coach Gorley, football coach, Coach Schriffenberg, my wrestling coach, really had these good programs for us when we were there. If you were in any kind of sport, you were able to do this advanced physical fitness. And so when I was in high school, it was ingrained in me to work out. I really didn't enjoy it. Like back squats hurt my neck, all these things. My senior year, I had a broken wrist, so I was trying to do everything around that. But I still was forced to work out every day, which I think started good habits for me. And then as soon as I graduated high school, just went straight to work and kind of fell out of working out. I didn't get a job in the fitness industry or anything like that until I was 21. And then I got my start at the Jewish Community Center. I remember I was working out up there with a friend, and I was interested in the personal trainers route. At that point, I just trained to look good and have like a big bench press and stuff like that. I didn't really know much.
Typical bro look.
The bro, yeah. Get the biceps. Great foundation I started, but so bodybuilding or just looking good and going out, on the weekends, kind of what it was all about until, I approached who became my boss, Dan Laughlin, the Jewish Community Center. He works for Techno Gym now. Great first mentor, really gave me an opportunity. I came up and asked him, was like, how do I become a personal trainer? Like, how do I do this? He's like, man, you want to be a personal trainer? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, you would have to, go to some kind of schooling for it or, learn, a couple different ways to teach yourself, the psychology of the anatomy. Like, you have to go and learn. And then, but I can start you cleaning some machines here and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. So I picked up a part-time job at the Jewish Community Center, just cleaning Techno Gym equipment. We had a great system there. I was always somebody who wanted to like push the next level in anything that I was doing. So I was challenged by a lot of people there. Erica Onnested, who's still there, and like I said, Dan Laughlin, Jose Romero. Like, they really built me up the right way, and I took on almost every aspect of that, the Jewish Community Center, working the sports desk, cleaning machines, working the kids pit. I learned how to do like hip hop classes and taught group exercise classes to the ladies that were around there. But I also got to work with some special population, like people with cerebral palsy, or like seniors that were 60, 70 years old. And so I really had to learn everything that he said. And so I went and taught myself the psychology, the anatomy, the biomechanics of how the body works and things like that. And man, that was tough. Like ACE is American Council on Exercise is the route I chose to go, and got all the material. And I had to take that test like a couple times. I thought I was ready the first time I went in there to UMKC, 2.5-hour test, multiple choice and written, and a couple scenarios. Came out, bombed it. Didn't, had to go back and tell them like I didn't pass. It was like one of the worst feelings I've ever had. And that happened like a couple more times. Trying to go and teach myself what people mostly go to school to learn over a couple years, that was my way of doing it. But each time I had to go and learn more and more, until I finally, on my last try, I killed the test. I was ready for it, and I think those fails helped me become, the trainer that I ended up becoming. So I prided myself in knowing some things, and it was next thing you knew, it was going part-time cleaning machines to the management up on the fitness floor and all these other areas. And then one day they're like, we need to bring another. Barry Baumfalk, he's over there now. He runs a great program over there called Mora CrossFit. It's my first gym that I started, but inside the Jewish Community Center. He came in, really taught me a lot in just a little time, and he brought to me and said, hey man, you need to bring another conditioning program to the gym. It could be boxing, it could be TRX, it could be CrossFit. I was like, okay. And I went and talked to a couple of my friends, and they're like, dude, you gotta do CrossFit. I'm like, man, those guys, they come in, we had a couple guys that were doing CrossFit at the gym. It was like, they'd come in and do 30 clean and jerks with like 55 or 65 pounds, 2 or 3 minutes. All right, peace out, we're done for the day. And I'm in there grinding for like 2 hours, bench press, push-ups, running a lap, all that stuff, getting the pump, chasing the pump. Pump's gone, time to do abs and calves and get out. And so that's, I was in the gym for 2 hours a day, and these guys were like doing 5-10 minute workouts saying that they're fittest in the world. I'm like, whatever, well, let's check this out. So went and checked it out. I wrote up a workout for us that was CrossFit inspired, and it destroyed me. It was like 26 minutes long. Like I had 4 or 5 other people do it with me at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're like, all right, Wednesday, we'll meet up again. Met up, I wrote up another workout, destroyed us. And then we're like, dude, there's something to this. And so every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we were working out, and then until the crowd got to be like 25 people, and then I couldn't even do it anymore. We were up on the track, and we only had dumbbells. We weren't doing any barbell movements, but I mean, we would do some good functional training, and that's how I started Mora CrossFit. They saw that I had a big enough following. They gave me $5,000 and like a 1,500 square foot art room. And Barry Baumfalk and I built it by hand. Bought the cheapest bars, I bought a few wall balls, a few kettlebells, and it's like, how can I train 10 people at one time? And and bought the equipment, boom. I had like 30 or 40 people paying for a membership on top of a membership, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. That was 2011, 2012, and I had the opportunity. Somebody plugged a seed in my head, said, why don't you open up your own gym somewhere? It's like, man, I don't have the financial backing for that. I'm like, what if we backed you? I'm like, then there's a possibility. So there's these 2 people, Kimball and Lindsay, awesome people. He had a couple little kids, very fine, very successful. They took my class every 9:30. They knew I had a gift, and they're like, took me out shopping for real estate, building up this budget for equipment and stuff like this. We could do this, we could do that. Went and met with realtors and spaces. We found this perfect space. It was off of Quivira, and somewhere in Overland Park. And we get to sign on the dotted line. And the guys that were trying to lease the building out to us couldn't let go of the personal guarantee for X amount of years, and that was just too much risk for them to take. They're probably in their early 30s or late 20s at that time with a couple brand new, like 2 and 3 year olds. They couldn't risk it. Like if something were to happen, that gym closed down, they couldn't feel comfortable with that, and so they backed out. But they made it such a reality for me. I couldn't stop. And so my business partner over at 913, TJ Kiblin, and I, he's like, man, I think I can get us the money. He's like, I know, my family and stuff like that. If we can go prove to him that we can do this, then we can do it. And so TJ and I put on our suits. He introduced me to a couple people in his family, his mom, his dad, and then a couple other like close people that he is like his mom and his dad. We had this business plan in their suits, and after a couple talks and them being very gracious, we ended up getting 10 grand. I knew I could start one with 5 grand. We got 10 grand, and we found a spot, Petra Bo Richter off 151st and Metcalf. She owned a Pilates studio, and I'm not sure if she knew what CrossFit was, because when we moved in there, there was chalk flying all over the place. There's bars clanging. Some of the guys that we had that would come at 5 o'clock in the morning would blow up this bathroom, like just laying number twos. And all these ladies would come in at 6 o'clock in the morning and just be like, what the heck are they going to? And Petra was like, after a couple months, she's like, you guys gotta go. And we were like, no. Bill, TJ's stepdad, is an amazing guy. Gave us some money to get started. He's a lawyer too, so he wrote us up this really good contract that she couldn't just kick us out. So we had to bring him in. It was kind of awkward, but Petra's like, these young bucks did it right, like did everything like the steps. And so we gradually found our own spot, and well, not our own spot. We went and shared some space with our next venture, Nate Hemphill, owner of PSP3. He owns a gym out there in Overland Park, and he just moved into the Martin City area. Great guy. He's actually coming here to do a competition on November 17th. But him and I, we developed a great relationship, and he taught me a lot about business when I moved in with him. And we both had good products, sharing a space. And then it came to a point where we were blowing up, he was blowing up. We had to get our own space. And so T and I moved across the street, got our own space. I remember we got the keys to it for the first time. TJ and I were like, we did it. Yeah. We're both making like $500, $600 a month, as a piece. So I'd make like 600, TJ make 600, and he lived at home still. And my dad was able to cover my rent. But man, those first 2 years, 3 years, we put everything back into the business, slowly grew it. I was a competitive athlete, so it was more of I was competing in CrossFit, and I had this little side gig called a CrossFit gym. And but people loved to come work out with us, and we trained a lot of people, and we finally at that space got 75 people to come and CrossFit with us, and we couldn't fit any more people in. We couldn't grow, and TJ and I weren't making any money. So we ended up taking a couple of our members that as investors. They invested in us and in the gym, and we were able to move into a bigger space and then grow it. Every time we tore down wall after wall after wall to get the most out, and every time we tore down a wall, 15 new people would come. Kick down a wall, 15 new people would come. So we just kept doing it. And so this December will be 6 years for CrossFit 913. And but about a year and a half ago, I decided to come out and open up another one closer to home. I mean, I grew up in Belton. I ended up moving out here to somewhere around the area, and the go is my business partners over here really came out and had a good vision for us and what we could do. And I told them, I want to make this next gym a lifetime of CrossFit gyms, nice amenities, restrooms, locker rooms, towel service, everything that I've learned at the Jewish Community Center. Right. That community feel. And that's where I think a lot of CrossFit gyms miss, is it's grungy, it's in a warehouse and stuff like that. People have been going for a decade. The overhead's super cheap. You don't need much space, or all you need is some load, and you need to move it over distance. And then just turn a clock on and try to be better the next time. So CrossFit can be done anywhere, but I figured it's gonna evolve. Things are gonna get nicer. And so we built this gym out here, and I'm super proud of. And so that's kind of my start into where I am now.
All right, amazing journey, huh?
No, to say the least.
Yeah. And so, just listening to you speak, I can see that there's a tremendous passion for CrossFit. So you tell us more about CrossFit, because I know that it's still a growing thing in the fitness industry.
CrossFit, you ask 50 people that question, you're going to get a different answer, but most of the people will probably say community. CrossFit's community is what makes it amazing, and what the psychological changes of when you work out and you have those good feelings and stuff. CrossFit has that community feel that keeps you coming. So 24-hour fitness, Lifetime Fitness. You go in there, you probably say hi to the person at the front desk, and then what happens after that? You go follow. Maybe some places have a trail where you do this machine and then this machine next, and then this machine, or you see somebody doing stuff, and I'm gonna try that. But if you just get started and you start doing that, you're gonna feel good. You're gonna feel great. Like, you're gonna see your muscles, you're gonna feel your muscles, you're gonna be sore, but you're gonna only, if you don't specialize in any type of fitness, or you don't venture out, 2-3 weeks in, you stop seeing those initial benefits that you had.
You lose your purpose.
You lose you don't know what you're doing, and then something happens, and it's just easier not to go a couple times, and then you fall out of it. CrossFit, like, we charge more than what a regular gym would be cost to go to, but we have trainers running each class, and helping anybody and everybody scale the workout of the day to come in here and sweat for 60 minutes and talk to the person next to you. So CrossFit, my answer to that is, like, what's CrossFit is, it's constantly varied functional movements trying to be done at high intensity, and then doing it in a great community is what's going to get you hooked. Functional movements, there's not a lot of machines to it. I mean, we have some rowers, we have some bikes, and some other things like some GHDs and stuff, but the real way to train is body weight, dumbbells, barbells, and the gymnastics stuff with, like I said, the body weight is all you need really for CrossFit. So CrossFit it's completely different than anything that if you've ever done. Well, I mean, it's not, because it takes a lot of things from back in the day and brings it back, and so it's just something completely different every single day.
I feel like it's just a mixture of a lot of different ways of training, and then I feel like the creativity is, like, the sky's the limit with that. You can challenge, just your average 40-year-old guy who's never worked out in his life, and you can challenge the 22-year-old that that just got out of college and he's been competing and he's retired now, but he wants to do something.
Yeah, and they can work out right next to each other. Both relatively have the same workout. I mean, the 21-year-old might be lifting a little bit more weight. The 40-year-old that just got started is just moving through the range of motion. Both of them are getting their heart rates up. If you're CrossFit too, I mean, it never gets easier, especially if you get better. You're able to do more work in less time, and so that increases the intensity, which that's what everybody kind of comes here for, is to feel that. The workout could be 2 minutes long, or it could be 30 minutes long, and equally, I mean, the 2-minute one probably hurts way worse than the 30-minute one. But CrossFit depends on what gym you get into. With how I was brought up, in the system, we've done things the right way, and I mean, community is huge, and pretty much safety and community, and just making sure that everybody that comes in has a positive experience. Try to leave the negativity out. Come here, have fun for 60 minutes, get on the road. I know where people stay and chat and drink beer.
Yeah, I see you guys got Martin City.
Martin City Brewery's beer on tap.
Awesome.
We're in Martin City. We had to, kind of help support our local businesses. We want to build the community of Martin City. We want to train everybody in Martin City. So Matt Mora down at Martin City Brewery, we carry his beer in here from time to time for our parties and things like that. But
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to ask you about competition, because you've competed, right? You said that you...
Up until just, I've been competing my entire life since I've been in CrossFit. So I really, started CrossFit at 24, 25. I'm 31 now. And the whole time I've been trying to get to that fittest person on earth status, which, coming close in regards, it's all relative. I was doing it for fun, and competing was fun, and all that, doing local competitions, made it to regionals a couple times. Never, the games, what you see on ESPN, I haven't sniffed that yet. I mean, getting to regionals,
leagues, right?
some of these other competitions are the major leagues. You getting to the games is like the top 0.0054%. Like it's just, there's not a lot, there's 40 people in the world, essentially, 40 guys, 40 girls, and then a handful of teams. But there's competitions all over the world all the time. In the United States, I've been to Minnesota to compete in the Granite Games for the past 5 years. Made it the pro division this last year. There's competitions in Miami called Wadapalooza. There's a competition down the street next weekend. There's one down this street the next weekend. So we have one on November 17th. CrossFit 913 does a great one in the summer. So, I mean, you can compete anytime you want. And so that's what makes it cool is you come in here and you train some of these things. A lot of the college athletes, the high school athletes, or semi-pro or anything like that, they get in here, they can go compete on a weekend against 30 other teams and, have a sense of purpose. Like they have a goal to train for and stuff, and it'd be for fun. You can win cash at some of these competitions, but yeah, so the competition aspect, it depends on how much time you have to dedicate to it. To be the best in the world, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
You have to, it's hard to run a gym and do that. It's hard to do anything and do that. A lot of people do it though. There's a lot of mentally strong people. I'm not using that as, being a gym owner as an excuse why I didn't make it to the games. It was the best opportunity for me to get to the games because I'm in a gym all day long.
Yeah.
And I made it a priority to train 3 or 4 hours a day, for the first 4 years. 2016, I would say, was my best season. I placed 9th in Missouri, 42nd out of 11,000 athletes in the North Central region, but only the top 20 individually go. And so, but after that, we qualified a team to go to regionals, and we went down there, had a great time, and then we went to Granite Games as a team of 4, went placed 10th at the Granite Games, big worldwide competition. And then after that, it was like, man, I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. I need to make some money.
Yeah.
I need to run a business. I want to get married. I want to have a house and all that stuff. And so the entrepreneur in me just came out and said, I need more. So that usually happens every time I decide to take some time from training 3 or 4 hours a day. Working out as hard as you possibly can for 3 or 4 hours a day, you spend a lot of energy.
Yeah.
When you don't do that anymore, all that energy can be
put somewhere else.
And I'm 15 hours a day walking like 10 miles just in the gym, just because you see things going on that you need to do, and you train more people and stuff like that. I mean, so it's a blessing that I was able to train that hard for that long, because now it's easy to get through a day and not stop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the competition aspect really, it's fun. You can do it at any level. You can compete just getting in on your first competition after being CrossFit for a couple weeks, to traveling and qualifying and doing all that stuff. So.
And how are the events put together? Is it like the host that comes up with all the workouts that
Yeah,
have to be done?
So I've probably thrown, 10 or 11 competitions. All started with my first triathlon that I put together when I was working at the Jewish Community Center. That events were fun to do too. Try to gather a bunch of people to compete, and so getting into CrossFit, throwing our first competitions. It was a blast getting all those people together. But yeah, so I would program all the workouts for the event. There's programmers of all the different. I mean, any event will probably have a couple different pieces, but they usually have a programmer that picks the events. Except for like when you're competing in like the Open. So the Open is like the biggest competition in the world for all CrossFitters. I don't know how it's going to change this year, but the end of February, they have what is called the CrossFit Open. It's a 5-week competition. So Dave Castro, programmer and director of the CrossFit Games, he comes up with these workouts, and they release them Wednesday night or Thursday night, and as soon as they release them, it's open till that next Monday to do that workout. And however the workout's structured, you have to either be the fastest, lift the most, or whatever it is, and then you put those scores. If you feel like you're going to get to the next level, you should videotape your performance, and then because they'll ask you for it, like did you really do
Verify
this?
what you did.
Yeah. And so 5 weeks, you do these workouts, and you see how you place. We're in the North Central region, so we compete against all the states that are right here in the middle. And like I said, men from 18 to 39 or 34 now, because the Masters starts at 35. 18 to 34 was around 11,000 people, and you get scored every event. I mean, these guys are fit, and then that's how you can stack yourself up against, like, even if you started CrossFit yesterday and you could do the workout as they wrote it on the board, you could compete against the fittest guy in the world, and you can see where you stack up against them and stuff like that. But yeah,
That's great. And so when we had breakfast a couple weeks ago, we were talking about, was it the Warhorse?
the Warhorse Games, yeah.
And so if you want to kind of talk about the events that you guys have done in the community and things.
Yeah,
going
so
ahead.
Warhorse Games, we had a unique opportunity. One of our members at 913 runs this organization called Warhorses for Veterans. They work with vets that suffer from PTSD, or things from war, and they fly them in and do like some equine therapy. Like, they have these beautiful horses, and Patrick Benson's been into horses. He was in the military and suffered from some of the same things, so he knows how it feels, but horses really helped him out. So they got this organization together. They fly in, these vets that Vietnam, haven't seen each other in however long, years, decades, and they bring them back, and they come out on this ranch, and it's just being out in the country with the horses, talking about some of the things with your brothers, like, really they saw some healing and things in with it. And so Jack Stack caters, like, Jack Stack's a part of that program, and they're finding different sponsorships from all over Kansas City to kind of help, provide a really good experience for these people to come in. But he approached me, he's like, man, would you like to host a CrossFit event or a functional fitness event at the T-Bone Stadium? I was like, yeah. He's like, I think I can get the T-Bone Stadium. I was like, dude, if you can get T-Bone Stadium, like, let's do it. So 2 weeks later, find out we got the T-Bone Stadium. And then we started a committee with not a very long time. I can't remember how many months it was. It was just over 7 or 8 months maybe to throw together. It might have been less than that, to get this committee together and try to host a big competition out in the T-Bone Stadium. And man, we came together, put some stuff like in play that would allow us to even take it to the next level. And I had a couple connections with some people that were trying to introduce me into some good people, one of them being Wesley Hamilton. He's paralyzed from the waist down, but he does CrossFit down at Memorial Hill. And Wadapalooza that year, they went and competed in an adaptive division, and we were doing the Warhorse Games. I was like, man, what if we had an adaptive division and we kind of catered around that? I got this dude Wesley that I want to talk with or bring in, brought him in, perfect fit, and it was probably one of the best events for adaptive CrossFit athletes, missing arms, missing legs, wheelchair, the cerebral palsy, any kind of thing that might hold somebody back from doing anything. He tries to find those people. His organization is called Disabled But Not Really. His goal is to find those people that may be struggling with not knowing what to do and get them into doing fitness. And so just moving load over distance, not taking no for an answer, and getting out there, and they get those endorphins, that psychological change that gives them that purpose. And so we were able to fly quite a few athletes in for the Warhorse Games. Jacob Hepner, very grateful for him, and a couple, Elijah Muhammad. We had some of the Games out, Chandler Smith. Games athletes are well-known athletes that compete at the highest level, come and showcase an elite division, your regular RX division. We had an open division for anybody and everybody, and then we had our adaptive division. And so we had a whole day of events that we programmed to take up like the whole field, and just being out on a baseball field or like a major or like minor league park, you just being down there, you get that good feeling. And so this is the first opportunity that a lot of people that haven't traveled to big competitions hopefully felt like a Games after. Oh yeah, and they were, and we had a great time. And so the Warhorse, everything that we raised went to the Warhorses for Veterans.
Awesome.
And so the Warhorse Games has made an input on the adaptive community and the CrossFit community as a whole that we hope to host an even bigger event to raise more funds next year at the same location. So Warhorse Games KC, definitely, if you're looking to compete or know anybody or want to be a sponsor, reach out to MC CrossFit or like Warhorse Veterans, and we'll definitely take anything you'll give us to help promote an amazing event in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And so, do you guys have any other events planned in the near future?
Well, at MC CrossFit, we have a November 2nd. It's our second time doing our First Fridays event series. We have free yoga class. One of our trainers here, Nathan Martin, is a yoga instructor, as well as a CrossFit coach. He's been in the game for even longer than I have, coaching and doing CrossFit. And so he's going to be throwing a yoga session. But we have these First Fridays, but we have our fall face-off where we're inviting any teams from around the area to come compete here, the teams of 2 on November 17th. And that will be a one-day competition. But yeah, right off the tip of my head, I know Meshuggah CrossFit's got one on the 10th. They're doing a Do It for a charity challenge. They have a competition with teams of 6 that they'll be hosting on November 10th. And if whatever team wins $22,000 for whatever charity they choose to give it to. So that's a big charity event. If you want to check that out, Meshuggah CrossFit, Jewish Community Center, they'll have a big event on the 10th. So
All right. That's awesome.
yeah, man.
So, just anything else you want to add on about CrossFit? Anything that you want our audience to kind of maybe get some clarification on CrossFit and why should somebody join CrossFit?
Man, if you're really out there looking to, so CrossFit, whatever you put into it, you'll get out of it. Just like a mile run. You have a mile, the distance, that's all you have to cover. You could walk that mile and you're still gonna get some kind of gain out of it. You could jog that mile and push yourself, or you could sprint that mile. There's an ability to be able to push yourself to new heights if you just kind of get out of your comfortableness. So I know a lot of people out there are trying to get into the fitness routine, especially for the new year, and that are afraid like CrossFit is like you have to sprint that mile. No. And if you couldn't even do running or anything like that, there's always a scale. We just try to get people to move through a full range of motion for the rest of their life. So if people are struggling and if they don't know what they need to do, but they need to do some kind of fitness, I would encourage CrossFit to definitely be the route to go, just because of the community. The way, pick a good gym, you have a good community, you get brought in the right way. It's just one of those things where it's really intimidating at first until you step out and do it. So I would just encourage anybody to reach out to their local CrossFit gym and see if that's something that you think you could possibly take on. I know MC CrossFit would love to have you, so reach out, to your local gym and just give it a try.
Mm-hmm. So where can people find you?
They can find me in St. Louis. No, I'm just kidding. MC CrossFit is where I spend a lot of my time. On social media, you can find me on Instagram, Brady Mora 11. You could also find me on Facebook, Brady Mora. But yeah, reach out to me. I'll definitely help you get started any way I could. So.
All right. Well, that concludes our Canadian Chats episode right here.
All right, man.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
All right.
And there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching and listening. If you want to learn more about Martin City CrossFit, check out their website at mcxfit.com. You can also find their content on Facebook and Instagram, as well as for Warhorses for Veterans, the nonprofit organization that Brady mentioned previously on the show. If there's anything that I've learned in the early part of my career as a trainer and coach, it is that you can always take in others' ideas with a grain of salt. Like several others, I have always taken CrossFit for the bad rap and stereotypes that it has. That it is dangerous, unqualified trainers, and other things that you might have heard. The truth is that you can always be at risk when playing a sport or lifting weights. You can always find good and bad trainers, teachers, doctors, and so forth. Getting to talk to the guys at Martin City CrossFit, I got the sense that their environment is similar to what you see at group fitness classes at a local gym. There are advanced people and new ones in attendance, but everyone that goes to these classes goes for one reason: the people that are there. For those who have their doubts about CrossFit, Olympic lifting, group fitness, and any other forms of fitness training, give it a shot. If it is not for you, it might be perfect for someone else. For those who are interested in trying one of these types of classes, I encourage you to explore and get to know more about them. Meet the students in the class and get to know the teachers. Worst case, you might find a new tool for your toolbox. Stay tuned for the upcoming weeks because we've got more episodes coming your way. If you like this show, please share it with your friends and family to help us make this show more accessible for those who have an interest in health and fitness. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as our website at knchatspodcast.wordpress.com. Once again, thank you for listening. This is Eric Mojica signing off. Until next time, this is KN Chats.